Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome back to a lot of you that have been at our classes previously. And I see there's some new people too. So welcome to the new people. And I want to remind you that these programs, this Bringing Into Creativity, are funded by a grant from Library Services and Technology Act. And they will continue through May. You could look at our schedule on the website and sign up that way. For our next two sessions, we're going to have yoga with Linda, and she's supposed to be fabulous. And if you took her classes, you'd have to pay a lot of money. So it's nice that you can do it for free through us. And after that, we'll have acrylic painting course, which will be really interesting. The artist is actually providing a canvas and acrylic paints for every participant. And I just want to remind you that the library is reopened now on a limited basis, limited hours. You can get all the information on our website, but you're welcome to walk in the library from 1 to 5, 4 days a week. And then we're having appointment-based checkout on Fridays and Saturdays only. So look at that. And remember to fill out the survey after this class so we can send that. It's part of our grant requirement. So let me start by introducing Paula. Paula has done a lot of live programs for us in the past, and they've been very popular. And so we really appreciate that she's taking the time to do this and to show us some cool little things to do with essential oils. And for those of you who didn't get a chance to pick up your kits, we still have some kits available, I believe. And you could still pick them up at the library and look at our YouTube presentation again, if you want to go through it. So, okay, Paula, take it away.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. First time I'm kind of using two cameras here, so bear with me. But my approach to using essential oils and kind of coming into all these different ideas or projects is, from that want or that desire to want to use more essential oils in my life, but to also be a little bit more environmental. So I am, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I started to, we've started to learn a little bit more about the kinds of additives that can be in a lot of our cleaning products and a lot of our soaps, our body washes, our shampoos, all that kind of stuff. And so this is sort of my attempt to try to make my own difference or step in the world as far as being a little bit more environmental. So here we go. We are going to start with the body wash. And so those of you who did get a little bit of the supply list or the recipe list, or maybe you'll be getting that later, just give you a quick rundown. So we'll be doing some homemade, half and half homemade body wash today, some paper soaps, paper hand soaps, and some toilet bomb cleaning fizzies. So they're just some cool little drops that you can just drop into your toilet bowl for either a refresher or a cleaner. And that's kind of fun to do with kids as well, kind of an easy way to get that on their chore list. And then we're also, if we have time, we will be working towards making some homemade hand scrubs. So I like to use a kitchen hand scrub sometimes, or even a body scrub. So for our first project, we're going to be kind of working towards two projects. If you want to follow along with me as we're doing it, I've kind of set this up so that you can. If you're not comfortable or if you're not in the kitchen close to your stove at the same time, you may want to wait and do the body wash after. But if you do want to start with me, then we are going to start with our soap. So you want to grab whatever bar of soap that you have handy that you decided to use for this project. I have gotten, you know, we get some fancy soaps given to us for gifts and all kinds of things. And I'm actually a body wash user, and I really use bar soap on my body. I find that it's maybe a little bit too drying. And so usually these nice, fancy, organic, very good for you soaps end up in my drawers, right? My dresser drawers, my underwear drawer, my sock drawers. And sure, they make things smell nice, but you know, then this really great soap is being wasted. So here's an example. It's a really fancy soap. Here we go. From it's made in Italy, and it's very nourishing. It's made with love and care. It has all kinds of stamps on it. I've had it for a few years now. So this is what I'm going to start for the demo today. I have a few of steps of the process already done, so I will join you with some of it, but I may stop halfway. As you'll see, the grating of the soap can get a little bit loud. So do grab your grater. Just using a plain old cheese grater here. I like to use the pyramid one because it's just a little bit easier. And I've got I'm just using a regular plate. So we'll begin by grating the soap. Don't worry, I promise I won't do this the whole time. And yeah, it's pretty loud. So we want to grate about half of our soap. And say you're using whatever is your favorite bar soap, whether it's Dove or Ivory or something like that. No judgment here, whatever you like to use. It can be just a really great way to save some pennies, right? So usually body wash costs more than bar soap. So that's why I'm suggesting if you've got these bar soaps around, you want to turn them into body wash, that's what we're doing here today. So I'm going to do a little bit more grating. And this is interesting. So this might even be a finer soap than the previous one I tried. I really was getting some good curly shreds from that last bar soap. This one is almost looking like a very fine powder. So I'll kind of hold it up here to the camera. It's really a fine powder. It actually feels quite silky smooth. So keep on going with the grating if you are with me. I'm going to stop for a little bit and talk just so that I don't have to talk over the grating. So you, of course, want to be careful with your knuckles here as you get through it. I was getting pretty close, right? So we're just looking for about half a bar soap. As I think we're all aware with a lot of these DIY home projects, there really is some experimentation that needs to happen. And so don't be disappointed if your projects don't work out the very first time. It just, you know, I feel like I learn every time I repeat a project, I realize some kind of a step that could be tweaked. So once you've got your soap grated, go ahead and put pour it into a pot. So you're gonna just dump the dry soap directly into your pot. Yes, I do have this one pre-boiled. It's actually starting to cool off here a little bit. So you'll dump the soap right into the pot, and then you'll grab your 2 cups of water. If you really want to be picky about it and use filtered or distilled water, you know, of course, the water that's coming out of your shower tap probably isn't as filtered or distilled. So you can go ahead, pour the 2 cups of water over the soap that's in the pot, put that on the stove to bring to a gentle boil. And honestly, you do want to keep an eye on this. So big lesson already here this morning is I wanted to have it pre-boiled and ready to go. So I put it on the stove and started setting everything up. And before I realized, my smoke alarm was going off and my soap was bubbling over the pot. So you know, you do want to keep an eye on things here. I just let it come to that boil. So you probably do want to stop it before it boils over. Probably had the heat turned up a little too high. So you want this soap to come to a gentle boil for a few minutes, just until it looks like the soap has totally liquefied. And so I'll kind of show this a little closer to the camera here. You can see that it's kind of hardened around the sides already, but it's still pretty liquidy. I also feel like I may have boiled off a little bit of the water, and so I might be adding in a little less coconut oil when the time comes. So go ahead, get your water boiling. Hopefully it's starting to warm up here. And I'm just putting this aside. We are going to move on to our next project just while that water starts boiling. So that would be our paper hand soaps. So we want to get our Castile soap ready. These tins are for later. So we've got the Castile soap. You don't have to use essential oils if you don't want to, if you don't have them, but that's me. So I'm using my On Guard essential oil mix. This one is good for cleaning. It's antifungal, antibacterial. A lot of this mix has been tested against coronavirus family viruses, and so it is successful in helping to kill those viruses. So that's the mix I like to use for all of my soaps, my foaming hand soap, everything that I have in the house, as well as my hand sanitizing spray and my hand soap here, this paper soap. Next is we're using the water soluble paper. So I believe you did get that in your kit. And you want to grab your craft brush. So I've got some plain old craft brush that I've been using. It's a clean one, so do want to make sure it's clean. You don't want to have any chemical stuff, maybe from oil paints or even acrylic paints or anything like that in there. So you do want that to be a pretty clean brush. And then let's see if I can set this aside. I'm just using one of these plasticky cutting boards to just make sure that I'm not picking up anything else on the surface of my counter. It's not absolutely necessary, but yeah, that's just what I like to do so I can keep my workspace easy for the duration of our presentation here together. So I'm going to grab a couple of sheets of paper out. Maybe I'll start with 2. I'm going to use my 1/4 cup measuring cup to just pour the soap right in there. And then also go ahead and grab at least have one hanger ready. So if you're just going to start with 1 sheet of paper soap, and yes, I am showing you my accident one that I did a few days ago. So this was another lesson when I was getting it ready is I oversaturated the paper and it got all stuck together and folded, and then I could barely peel it apart and it ripped. It's not that it's not usable, but it's not going to be, you know, as pretty for when I cut it up or make it into cool shapes. So that's just a little reminder to not oversaturate your paper. I'll just set that aside for now. So I've got a hanger and a couple of clips or clothing pins handy. You might also want to have somewhere that once you hang the paper on it, and as you can see, it's kind of sticky. So this one I ran out of clothespins, but I was able to even just wrap it around the hanger. We'll see how well I do in removing it from the hanger here next, right? So you want to have a place that you can run and hang your soap, your paper soap up to dry overnight. So it won't really drip on anything. It's not going to be that saturated, but definitely maybe let's pre-plan, have a look around your room right now or think about where you can safely hang your soap to dry overnight. So I'll just set these aside for now. So we've got our hangers ready. All right. So, let's see, I don't know, have a look, check at your stove, make sure things aren't boiling over, if you are with me. Now it looks like mine is starting to solidify because it's been a little while now since I boiled my soap. So I think I'd better start adding to it here really quick. Perhaps before we move on, hopefully your workspace is a little bit, has some space in here. We are going to move on to back to the body wash. So if your stuff isn't finished boiling yet, that's okay. Just bear with me. Once it has boiled, you can turn off the heat, and then we're going to add in our coconut milk. So I'm just going to bring this over here onto this workspace. Yeah, so I may have already missed the boat. Like I said, I think I'm going to use a little less coconut milk this time. And if you hadn't already, just give it a little pre-stir. Make sure the coconut milk is not too lumpy. And I thought I saved the can, but I guess I didn't. So the coconut milk I'm using is just an unsweetened organic coconut milk. Again, because I'll be using this on my skin, my body, I'm going for the organic version. And unsweetened, of course, because we don't really need to absorb more sugar into our body. So don't forget, our skin is the largest organ, and it does absorb things. So if you use a lot of sugar scrubs, etc., yeah, you can be absorbing a little bit more sugar into your body if sugar is something you're trying to be careful with. So that is something to kind of think about here a little bit. All right, so because our coconut milk is right, room temperature or even slightly cold, I can see that I already probably need to put this back on the stove for a while. But hopefully, those of you who are kind of doing this project with me in the moment, you'll be able to catch this at the ideal temperature. So yeah, let's see. I'm not sure how well this is going to work. Once you have it all stirred in, so I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to put it back on the stove for a while, but I'll have to do that later. So if you have reduced the heat on the stove or turned it all the way off, maybe you do want to go and grab whatever bottle or jar that you're going to use for your body wash. I'm just using an empty almond oil container. I had a little bit left, but I just poured that into a different container. This, again, is an almond oil that I use for a lot of my oil projects, even a massage oil. So I'm fine with having the residue of the oil still in the bottle. Will be a nice added moisturizer to the soap. So I do have a funnel. If you don't have one, that can make things a little bit difficult if you have a really small top for your bottle. But you can also use basically any bottle that is squeezable. So you'll want to be able to squeeze that body wash out of the bottle. And so, yeah, this is what I used before to pour my soap mixture in. And I do have the finished product here. So, yeah, let's see here. See how it worked out. I should probably have something underneath to catch it. So I am just skipping and demoing the last step of pouring the soap mixture into the body wash bottle, just because, as I said, mine kind of cooled off a little bit too fast, and I'm going to have to heat it up again in order to pour it. So timing for this project is definitely important. We want to be able to just pay attention to what's going on heat-wise. Not by like seconds or minutes, but I want to say mine had been cooling off for probably 20 minutes already by the time I got to it, and that was just a little bit too much, probably even 30 minutes. So, you know, a few minutes in between, especially if it feels really hot and you're not comfortable with pouring it into a plasticky bottle just yet. Certainly you can let it cool a little bit so that you can handle it. It shouldn't be steaming, it shouldn't be boiling when you go to pour in the coconut milk. It shouldn't be steaming or boiling when you go to pour it into your soap container either. So the directions here are to just definitely give it a really good shake. So this is one that I made a few days ago, and I just used one of my empty witch hazel bottles. So this is one of my favorite witch hazel brands that I like to use. They do sell it at Target actually, or you can get it on Amazon, and it's without alcohol. So witch hazel is often used in a lot of our DIY essential oil products. It's really great to use as a toner, but of course you want to use it without the alcohol. All right, so the only thing here is I'm seeing it's a really small spout. So yeah, there we go. So as you can see, it's just coming out with a lovely little stream of body wash. See, maybe got some water handy here, so I'll just add this into my hand washing bowl. So yeah, it's definitely very silky feeling. It came right out. It's not super sudsy, but it smells pretty good, right? Whatever soap that you used, you know, perhaps it's just, you know, a favorite scented soap that you like, or again, a really sweet smelling soap that somebody gave you, can be a really great thing to have. All right, I felt like, I guess maybe I should just show you that it really did come together there, right? So perhaps if you want it to be a little more sudsy, again, you can experiment with using a little less coconut milk. Oh, you know, all of this comes down to personal preference. Okay, back to our paper soaps, and I think I want to do just a quick time check here. All right. So I'm bringing my little cutting board back into my section, and I get that body wash instructions out of the way. So back to our Castile soap. You probably don't even need a whole quarter cup, so I'm filling it up just below the, well, you know what, because I'm going to put so much essential oil in it, well, pretty close to full. Then I've got my On Guard. And I add in several drops here. The original instructions never really did tell me how many drops. I just like it to be pretty strong. Again, if I'm using it for that cleansing, that antifungal and antibacterial business, I try not to be too shy in using several drops for that. Okay, make sure you have just one sheet of your water-soluble paper on your surface. Make sure your surface is clean. I've got the essential oil in my container here, and I'm just going to use my brush. This is for messy crafting as well, right? So I'm using my brush to just kind of mix in that essential oil. As I said earlier, we want to be mindful to not over saturate our page, as I demoed in that previous mess up. So I'm just kind of wiping a little bit of the excess soap off of the brush, and then I am painting it along the page. So I'm really trying to spread out that soap along the whole length of this paper. And you might want to save one edge or at least one corner that you don't get too soapy, so that you're able to peel it off of your surface. So, right, that might mean that you don't even drag the brush all the way to the other end. Got a little speck there. Again, be mindful that you're not oversaturating it, because we're still going to do the other side. So you can see it's starting to curl or buckle a little bit, but it's not super wet. It's not dissolving just yet. And then I'm flipping my page over. Just getting that right down. And same thing. Just a quick swipe. You can see that the paper is actually already starting to get a little bit wet. So definitely the second side, you might use a little bit less. Let's see here. Remember to save a corner or an edge so that you can pick it up. I got an edge here, hopefully. And careful, slowly, with patience, you'll peel it off of your surface. And here we go, we've got our paper. Get my hanger ready. Didn't set that up ideally, but here we go. So this part can definitely be a little bit easier with a partner. So you've got a friend available to assist, just to hand you some of the stuff or hold the hanger, that can be helpful. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of folding the edge over. I think I will use a clip. I did my clothespin. So I'm just creasing the edge around, no big deal. So there, that's one. I'm hanging it just over here on my lamp. And I'm gonna get my other hanger ready, as well as my clothespin. So I'm just taking this out. All right. Moving on to our second sheet of soap. Same process. Just had a little spill there now too. really the most important thing we can learn here with our DIY projects is patience with ourselves, right? So just not getting too frustrated when things don't work out perfectly, or not getting too frustrated with ourselves, right? If we tend to have a little bit of a clumsy day, or things, you know, right, they don't unfold, or we have a few spills or make some messes. I mean, they're just spills. They're just messes, right? Things can be fixed. Things can be cleaned up. No sense giving ourselves a hard time. All right. So let me get this corner just a little bit closer. So again, just be sure not to oversaturate too much, because we're doing both sides. We're getting plenty of soap on here. So you can get these water soluble paper sheets in much bigger sizes. You know, I kind of have next on my project list to also maybe come up with some body wash paper. And so mostly, right, this is really great for traveling. I know not a lot of us are traveling just yet these days, but even still, right, as the world starts to open again and we start to run more errands and make our way through the world, we're probably all still going to want to wash our hands as much as possible. And sometimes we do end up in a public restroom where there is no soap, right? So here's where you can have your paper soaps handy, you know, in your purse. It's not liquid, so at least you don't have to worry about having some liquid soap spill over in your purse or your pocket. Sorry if there's guys watching and you don't carry a purse, or women for that matter. You right, this, you could even put this in a small tin that you can easily fit in your pocket. So there we go. I've used my clothespin for that. My kitty is slowly coming in to investigate. Okay, so we have a great night's sleep. We wake up tomorrow and we check on our paper soaps and they're dry, right? So we now are working with this dried sheet of paper soap. And I'm going to get this now out of the way. So I actually have quite a bit left here of my soap mixture. Maybe you want to make a lot, and so you feel free to brush out the rest of this soap mixture onto your paper soap. If you only have so many sheets, you can just pour this right into your soap pump, your hand soap container at home. If it's a foaming hand soap container, just add in 5 more parts of water. Give that a quick wipe. So it's too messy there. Okay. All right. So just a quick demo here. I like to make a lot of DIY gifts. So I thought, instead of cutting them up into plain old squares, honestly, it's all about the container that you want to fit these into, right? So you could fit them into like a little Altoids or a mint tin. Also, some fancy soaps come in like a fancy little tin, right? So any tin that is waterproof that you want to carry with you, you can cut that soap into that shape. I happen to find some heart-shaped containers, yeah, probably in the wedding section at Michael's, but then I also have a paper punch, right? So any kind of a paper punch. If you're a scrapbooker, you probably have a few different punches there available in your home. So yeah, these are kind of the containers that I was making, that I'm using to give to my friends. So let's see. Is this gonna work? I'll let my perfectionism go for now. I might need to try to be perfect. So yeah, you do want to be careful. Well, it looks like I'm already having some issues here with this first one. That is something I have also found, that if my paper is a little bit oversaturated, the punch doesn't work as well. So I'm going to do just a couple more here, and then I'll show you the magic of the dissolving paper soap. Wow, this is really giving me a hard time here. All right, that got torn a little bit. One more here, just for the show. Yeah, not doing well. Of course, probably if I wasn't on camera, I'd be working a little bit slower and patiently and making sure that I had, you know, all my hearts lined up perfectly, etc. So, yeah, a couple of them got a little bit wrinkled in there. So here you can see I've got my lovely little paper heart soap. And once again, just use this same container. I'm gonna have some really washed hands here by the end of this. So yeah, I think you can see here in the camera, this overhead one, I've just got that paper soap right here in the palm of my hand. And as I start to pour the water on it, it's already dissolving, right? Once you rub your hands together, it just completely dissolves into a nice sudsy hand washing formula. And right, so usually, right, you're running the water under your hand, so it's all going to just dissolve quite fast. And then, so that said, you want to grab that paper soap out of the tin first, right, before you start washing your hands or before you get your hands wet, just so that you don't ruin all the rest of the paper soaps in your container. Of course, right? Sure. So. I'm a Capricorn. I like to give way too many details and you know, very detail oriented, and I guess I feel the need to share that with everyone. Sagittarian moon. Okay, so that out of the way. All right, so that is our paper soap project. So I think just kind of a fun little project to do, totally safe, non-toxic, crafty stuff. You can have fun finding different paper punches, which, you know, are not cheap. So definitely just kind of watch that. Yeah, have fun finding your favorite shapes. Have fun finding, you know, cute little tins that you can put them in. I want to say the last time I did this, I think I did 3 sheets of paper, and I managed to stuff 3 sheets of paper into one of these tins, which isn't cute. But it was, you know, I was giving it as a gift, so I wanted it to be nice and full. Okay, so that's our paper soap. Of course, any ends that you have left are still going to work, right? You can just leave that in your own soap container to use for next time or for later. All right, moving on to our next project here, and I should do a quick time check. Okay, I think, yeah, we should be able to cover this last one. So we are moving to the toilet bomb cleaning fizzies. So I'm going to get all of my ingredients handy, right? I've got the baking soda, the citric acid, which was not in your kits because it can, you know, it's just a little bit of a substance you want to be careful with, and then some cornstarch. Getting my muffin tin ready, as well as silicone ice cube holders. So whatever you have, I find it's just kind of easier and it can make the fizzies a little bit more pretty if you use the muffin or the cupcake liners. So I'm just getting those ready here quickly. I'm reusing them. As you can see, they have a little bit left from the last time I made these. For this project, the essential oil of choice for me is the Purify blend. So this one has a lot of lemon in it. Let's see. Lemon peel, Siberian fir, citronella, lime peel, tea tree oil, and cilantro. So these two have really great cleaning properties, and antibacterial, but they also have a really nice smell. So perhaps you just have one essential oil in your house and it's lemon or even lavender. That can be great to use for this. I just like to use citrusy scents. I find that just makes me feel like things smell fresh and clean. And so that's what I like to use in the bathroom, or especially because this is going into the toilet bowl, right? Right, so we are going to go ahead and start measuring out our ingredients. And you'll see that things actually, once we start mixing in our baking soda and our cornstarch, they're going to get a little bit it's like smoky, right? Or there's going to be some stuff coming up. So I just noticed that as I was kind of mixing it vigorously, I went and actually grabbed my mask. I thought, you know what? I don't want to breathe this in as I'm mixing it up. So hopefully you've got your mask handy. This is my new favorite mask. I just got it at the Wild Safari Park. It's a tiger mask. So if you like cats and tigers like me, I thought, you might enjoy this. So got my favorite tiger mask on here. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and measure out our ingredients. So you'll need a half a cup measuring cup and a teaspoon or any kind of utensil you want to use to dish this up. I think I'm just gonna manage. Same thing, all the ingredients I like to use for the most part, again, this is for the toilet bowl, so it's not a big deal, but this could be stuff that you can use to make your own bath bombs. Maybe I won't talk too much with my mask on. Hopefully you can still hear me just fine. So this one is a food grade citric acid, so you could use it for making jams or jellies, or anything like that. Half a cup of baking soda. I like to zip up my packages as I go because I'm a little bit klutzy, so I'd rather not. Obviously, I talk with my hands, so I don't want to end up, smacking my hands into one of these and spilling it all over the place. And my cornstarch. Time check. Okay. It's starting to get a little bit smoky. I don't know why that word keeps coming to me, but yeah, it's just starting to kind of come up through the air. I just like to really make sure everything is mixed in really well here. Yeah, so see it come up through the eyes. All right, so the original instructions say actually to have a glass bottle or any kind of a spray bottle that you mix in some water and your essential oils of choice. I find that that just wasn't working for me. I was having a better luck with just slowly pouring in a little bit of water as I went. So I'm just using my third of a cup, measuring cup, whatever you got, even if you do it spoon by spoon, drizzle at a time. And first off, yes, the essential oils. So I'm putting in about 30. And actually, again, if you have a crafting partner, that can be great because I do like to kind of mix as I drip. I'm just gonna count my drips here for a second. 12, okay, so that's about 12. Just gonna stir those in. So you just want to be mindful when you are adding in anything liquid to this mixture. So once liquid mixes with that citric acid and the baking soda, it's going to start to fizz. So that's why you want to do it super slow, because we want to save the fizzing. Okay, so another 12 or so. I've got just 6 more drops to go. You want to save the fizzing for when you're using it, right? When you drop it into the toilet. Just a couple more, really trying to spread out my drips. All right, so here's the part where we really want to pay attention. Just move super slow. And maybe I'll make sure you can see that there in the here. So oops, see, it's already starting to fizz. I put a little too much there at once. I'll have to learn to pour left-handed here, I think. So yeah, I picked a bowl that just kind of had some higher sides. Typically when we are working with essential oils, it is recommended to use glass containers because oils do break down plastic, right? But this is just our mixing vessel. We're not going to be storing anything in it. Here I am going again, just drip by drip. I kind of feel like when I want to make a really big batch of this, I might want to use my stand mixer. I have one of those. So then when we check it, so you can just bring your hand in, it's starting to hold form a little bit. But not quite yet, right? So we're looking for the consistency of like really fluffy snow, right? Like fresh, white, powdery snow, or maybe not super wet sand, but damp sand, right? All right, it's getting there. So this is probably the longest process of all of it, right? Is just be slowly pouring it in.
Paula, someone asked, can we add orange peel or rose petals to this? Orange oil, I think she meant. Orange oil or rose petals?
Any oil, yeah, for sure. Rose petals, sure. I mean, if you like to have rose petals in your toilet bowl, totally fine. But yeah, if you are using this for maybe something like a bath bomb, probably the bath bomb fizzies might have slightly different directions as far as measurements. So that would be something, you want to research. But yeah, definitely, probably you want to be careful with just not too many rose petals because you don't want it to affect your mixture as far as being able to fizz up really well. But yeah, totally. Feel free to unmute yourselves if you have any questions as we're making our way towards the end of our projects here or our session. So I do want to make sure you get a chance to ask your questions. Since we're all just mixing here together anyways. And there's a little less vapor coming out here, so I am going to remove my mask. But yeah, I just remembered that the first time I was mixing this, there was just a bunch of powder coming out. So it's starting to hold form a little bit better. I think just a smidge more. Oops. Yeah. You can see that really fall back. Yeah, so orange oil, definitely a citrus one would be awesome for this, for the bathroom smells. You can also make or use this very same recipe for like a shower melt or a shower bomb. So, right, if you maybe use something like eucalyptus, something to help like steam and open up your sinuses in the morning in the shower, this is definitely something you could use. You can make, you can use the same idea here, the same shape, either your silicone ice cube tray or your cupcakes. So this time around, I'm going to make some, I'm just going for a little bit more of a smaller size. I should just check that out. So I'm using a couple of scoops here in each one. So now we're getting close on time, but I do have the finished product to demo for you. So, hang on if you want to see the fizzy in action. Hopefully it still fizzes, right? I did make those a few weeks ago now. So probably actually more than a month ago. So this will also be a really good test to see how long this fizziness lasts. It is best to store these in a glass container, an airtight glass container, obviously, so that the air doesn't break down or you don't lose your fizziness. So I'm just going to use as my spoon now here to, to just kind of smooth it out. So basically, my thoughts on these particular ones for today is I'm making them a smaller size for just a little refresher bomb. Like say if I, if people are coming over or whatever, right? The toilet's fresh and clean, but maybe you want to just drop one in there for a quick refresher. Just aromatherapy, you kind of leave that in there fizzing. Or, and I'll show you my bigger size here in a second, I used these really thick silicone ice cube tray to make the big ones, and that's the size that I like to use to actually clean the toilet with, because it's a nice big amount. It really fizzes and sizzles down into the bowl. So I wait for it to do a bunch of fizzing until it's almost completely dissolved, and then I take the toilet brush and give it a good brushing, good cleaning. Just finishing this all up. So yeah, I really like to divvy it up between to keep things somewhat even. Again, if you don't have any essential oil, obviously you'll just be missing out on the deodorizing effectiveness, but it's the baking soda and the citric acid that are the cleaners, right? So it's that fizziness of the interaction that helps to kind of scrub the surface off a little bit. So you might notice as you're packing this in that it is starting to foam up a little bit, so that's normal. You can put this in the freezer actually to finish setting for a few hours. So I kind of feel like that was the best one. When I did put it in the freezer to finish setting, that kind of worked the best. It was just a few hours, and then I went right away and gave it to my friend. Otherwise, you can probably put it in the fridge overnight. So here is our finished product. Grab some water. You know what? Since this is my last project, I think, right? Yeah, so we only have an hour, right? So I'm going to use this whole bowl. I don't want the fizziness to get out of control. So you should be able to see here anyway, so it's clear enough. So I've been keeping them. I just had a few kind of left over from that last DIY gift. So it's been in this jar, and then you would just drop it into the bowl, and you can probably see that it's really starting to fizz and bubble. So yeah, right, I want to say, I think I said I made these about a month and a half ago or so. Yeah, so where are we? And right, still working just good. Again, probably because I've kept it sealed. You might get 3 months out of it, right? So just be sure to use them. Once you make them, use them so that they don't go bad or they don't lose their fizziness. Let's see here. I'm gonna give it a little stir. So right, it's still a pretty solid chunk. That's why I like to use that bigger size that I would actually use when I am cleaning the toilet. So right, I would just let it finish dissolving, kind of walk away for a while, all that fizziness, you know, like the scrubby bubbles or whatever, that is going to really be starting the job of the scrubbing of the bowl. And then, you know, you can send somebody else in to finish the job for you, right? So kind of fun to just see the fizziness, and then throw in your toilet bowl brush to give it all a good scrub. So completely biodegradable, safe for our water treatment system, as well as the oceans and everything else, unlike many of the other terrible toilet bowl cleaners that are out there in the world. So please let's start to do our best to be a little bit more environmentally friendly, as tomorrow is Earth Day. So right, if we can just start taking small steps towards making better decisions for our planet, hopefully we can all start to make a difference together. That's my little spiel for Earth Day. Thanks for watching.